Powered by Kinect für Xbox 360.
All right. Well, welcome to the Guild Wars 2 demo for gamescom 2011. I'm Chris Lai. I'm the Global Brand Manager for ArenaNet and Guild Wars 2. Driving for me today is Matthew Moore, one of our QA members. And this is the last demo of the day, so we can keep it interactive. And if people want to go ahead and ask questions during the demo, that's fine. So you've all indicated that you are familiar with Guild Wars 2. Many of you either seen or played our game from the last Gamescom. So I'll talk a little bit high level of what's new. I guess one of the main things that we wanted to demonstrate is, as you know, we debuted Guild Wars at last year's Gamescom 2010, and we showed 2 playable races at the time, and a human starting experience and a char middle experience. And I guess the main thing that we want people to take away is the progress that we've made in the year, and just the pure scope of what we're offering with Guild Wars 2. So here at Gamescom, we are making all 5 of our races now playable. If you have time to visit the demo on the floor, you'll see that you can choose any of the races here to play. 7 of our 8 professions are now playable, and we have introduced a new gameplay type, our PvP mode, which we will have a chance to kind of pop into a PvP map towards the end of the demo, so we can kind of show you how we are changing the way PvP gameplay works within an MMO. So one of the new things that we are showing here at Gamescom 2011 is our our character appearance customization. So this is the first time that we've shown this, and just to talk a little bit about the philosophy behind what we want to do with our appearance customization is, for those people who just want to say, you know, I want a really big, burly warrior, we want people to be able to make that choice without having to go through a lot of hassle. Nevertheless, you know, and you see, you know, we have a bunch of preset choices here that allow you to have very different looks, and we will continue to add to these through the development of the game. But for people who want a high level of detail, the kind of person who wants to tweak things like the angle of your eye, the length of your nose, shape of your mouth, even the shape of your chin, we do have these options available on sliders, so you can tweak them. But really, so it's all about offering different kinds of choices for different types of players. The other thing that we are introducing here at Gamescom is our new die system. A lot of games you start off as a low level and you're gray and brown and all those drab colors. We do offer an introductory die selection that you'll be able to use, up to 3 channels per item, to kind of offer a very distinctive look even before you come into the game. I'm going to go ahead and make that even more colorful. There we go. Very distinctive. If purple headgear is what you're looking for. Now, one of the cool things about this system is, as you venture through the world of Guild Wars 2 and acquire new equipment, we will remember this rather distinctive schema that you've chosen and apply it to your new armor. Now, so that will allow you to kind of establish a look for your character that, as you go through the game, acquiring new gear, you'll basically be able to keep that color combination. And if at a certain time you want to change that, there are options in the game to be able to change your color schema. But what it means is that you'll never be looking like you know, a bum who doesn't know how to color coordinate their gear because you're just, you know, covered in random equipment. All right. So we've already demonstrated the human starter experience. So for, you know, this demo, we'll move into the char starting experience. So for this starting experience, we'll go ahead and choose the engineer. That's one of our newest professions. We'll talk a little bit about how the engineer plays in the demo. Here we'll just demonstrate some of the basic appearance customization options you have for the char. You can change a lot of the fur options, looking like a cheetah or a tiger. And since the char, you know, are famous for looking really tough, let's go ahead and give him a really badass set of horns. All right, great. So now at this point we're going into the biography. If you remember from last year's demo, this is where one of the major elements of our personal story system. Here at character creation, you will choose important things about your background. Here, for example, is a choice. The Char it's very important to them which legion they belong to. Since we are an engineer, we're going to choose the Iron Legion, which is a more technology-oriented legion. Here's an interesting element about our personal story. So here we're talking about a Char's warband. A warband to a Char is more important than family. These are the other Char that you train with, you grow up with, you go into battle with. And as we mouse over each of these different Char, you'll see that the description of these Char changes. This question is asking you, which of your warband members are you closest with? As an example of how fundamental and significant our story changes can be, here, depending on which of these Char you select, will determine which of them survive your intro tutorial and which of them die. And then based on that Char member will be a living companion for you, through your personal story experience, and the rest of your warband will have perished. So we'll go ahead and make a decision about our parentage and go ahead and go into the game.
In this world of constant battle, I am the deadliest weapon. I respect no authority, but the clenched fist. With engines of destruction, we have killed our gods. We reclaimed our homeland massively, and we planted victory banners on the graves of our enemies. Yet, if we waver, we can slip through our claws. Victory at any cost.
So at this point, because I chose Iron Legion, the cinematic goes ahead and branches.
I serve the Iron Legion. I build the future. I forge the weapons and charts of I've earned the respect of my comrades and forged alliances I can call on at times of need. My Legion values innovative solutions, efficient execution. Like our steel, we do not bend. Centuries ago, humans stole what's left from the Iron Legion. They have paid for that crime with blood, but the usurpers fight us even in death. Today, the combined armies of the Black Citadel will assault the ghosts that plague Iron Legion territory. I've been assigned to reinforce the bulwark. Let the Ash Legion strike from the shadows. Let the Blood Legion tie on the field. I am part of the machine. This is my story.
All right, now as we load into the game, I just wanted to talk about the cinematic that we just watched. You'll notice that it is not just pure animation. What we did is we really feel that ArenaNet has one of the best concept art teams in the industry, and that art is very evocative, a great device for storytelling. And so in our cinematics, we use that concept art to create that great painterly feel that we want to establish in the game. And we feel that that's actually one of the distinctive hallmarks of Guild Wars 2. So now we've entered the starting area of the Char, which is located outside the Black Citadel. We're going to go ahead and go on the first part of our personal story. So at this point, we put you right into the action. The Char Black Citadel is always under attack by the ghosts of Ascalon, the undead ghosts that are trying to kill actually everything in the area at this point. One of the things that, as a hallmark of our combat system, is that we enable dodging. Dodging is one of the ways that you can avoid damage, incoming damage by evading and moving to the side or to the left. Can you go ahead and dodge for me? There you go. you'll be able to dodge. You are able to dodge backward, forward, back, side to side. One of the things that people who are familiar with our skill system will observe is that we've changed the way that skills are acquired now. Weapon skills are acquired. As Matthew goes ahead and uses his blunderbuss more, the skill begins to slowly unlock. See, at that point, he used his weapon enough so that the net shot skill is now available, and he's gone ahead and used it. The net shot, we'll go ahead and show that again. But the net shot is a cool engineer type device. I told you that the engineer is one of our fresher professions that we've introduced, and they like using technologies. So the engineer is a good example of the way that we're trying to freshen up and keep combat and professions interesting within a fantasy MMO world. So we'll just move on to the second stage of our personal story.
Need your help, soldier. Tribune Brimstone ordered me to recruit. To turn up to make it. What's so important about what did you tribune is there? Ghost to Barry is far more powerful than we thought. His army just broke through our defenses. Whitlock's about to fight him head on. If he succeeds, it'll be weeks before the Ghost reforms, and we can rebuild our perimeter. On my way.
Alright, so we've just been instructed to assist one of our big char heroes, Whitlock Brimstone, with getting rid of Duke Barradin. So we can go ahead and head over to the crypt. So we've been told that there is an event nearby, and here we demonstrate how our dynamic event system works. You do not need to talk to an NPC to be told that there is some kind of content that you need to get. You just walk into the area, you're just exploring, and you're told there is event activity going on. These ghosts are all attacking the crypt gate, and you need to defend it. Matthew, do you want to go ahead and demonstrate the down state for me? So for those of you, who are not that familiar with our combat system, when you are defeated, you do not die right away. You enter a down state. You get a new health bar that starts ticking down, and you get 4 skills that allow you to do kind of like last-ditch actions to be able to, so that you can potentially rally, which Matthew's gone ahead and done. We think this adds a lot of action and intensity to combat. It also gives people an opportunity to help you out. In Guild Wars 2 combat, we do not have a dedicated healing profession. It's important to recall that every profession has some ability to heal themselves, and then everybody has the ability to revive other players on the battlefield. We feel this really adds to a lot of the social glue and activity that makes MMOs a lot of fun. So at this point, it looks like we're about to enter into the new phase of one of the events here, which is we have successfully defended the crypt. So we're going to move into the next phase, which is to actually go in and help Whitlock Brimstone. So it's important now to call out, what make dynamic events, one of the better ways to experience content in MMO. One is that a lot of dynamic events are event chains. The way players interact with a dynamic event can potentially change the outcome of the event and what will happen on the map. Secondly, dynamic events are inherently social. We never want anybody to resent other players participating in a dynamic event with you, so as more players come into a dynamic event, the difficulty of the event will scale up.
Barely so hard to take every week's to read. Move out.
Alright. So now we are moving into a event called Kill Barradin's Ghost. first of all, we have to get rid of his minions. You see on the right here, it actually indicates that you must defeat four ghost waves before you can move into the next phase of the event. Let's see. You want to pull back, Matthew, and see how many other players we have in this event? Is it just one other? It looks like just the one. So the ghost of Duke Barrington has now appeared. So just when we thought we were going to defeat him, he goes ahead and does something like possessing one of the statues in his crypt. Now, keep in mind that at this point you are not even level 2. And we are presenting you with a pretty impressive looking boss monster. We don't want you, going out and necessarily killing rats or collecting wolf's tails. We do want you having fun, interesting fights with fun, interesting, action-oriented combat mechanics. So what you just saw is that the Baron just feared and knocked back Matthew. Go ahead and pull back.
Skill 3 though.
That should do more damage. Can you pull the camera up a little bit to show when the circles appear on the ground?
Yeah, when it hits it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the other attacks that this boss does is he actually causes pieces of the ceiling to fall down on the ground. It's a great example of kind of like activities that you're paying attention to what's going on in the combat environment in front of you. It's a lot more fun, and you can actually dodge and evade the incoming attacks. So we've gone ahead and defeated the boss. Sorry?
We'll see it again at the end.
Do you think it's up?
The red circles.
Sorry?
We'll see it again at the end.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and move into the next part of the demo. So at this point, we're going to move into a higher level area to demonstrate some of our content there. We're going to go ahead and play the Asura, which are our the small kind of big ear race that we showed during character creation. They have a very different kind of feel to them. If you're familiar with Guild Wars lore at all, you know that they're kind of come from the underground. They have a big attitude towards the other races, and they are sometimes played for comic effect. So, just looking at just seeing the way that they animate gives them a very different feel from the other player races within Guild Wars 2. So, do we know what the ETA is on the big boss fight here? So one of the things that, because our world is dynamic, it's not entirely predictable. So we kind of, every demo is a little different from demo to demo.
We're going to head up north and see if they can pull the Ash Horizon.
Okay. Well, we can go and look at the Ash Horizon, or if not, we can head underwater and demonstrate underwater combat.
Also, since you like cutest or animations, let me haul out that hammer for you.
Yeah, pull out that hammer and let's banish some mobs.
Thank you.
All right, so here's an event It's called the Ash Horizon. The Ash Horizon is the name of this undead ship that is now attacking the coast here. What the ship is doing is throwing really large fish at the shore. Fish cause a lot of damage if you get caught within its area of effect. Whoa, like that. Whoa. So you notice that there are red circles on the ground appearing, and these indicate where the fish are going to land. So again, as long as you're paying attention, you can make sure that you aren't going to take a lot of damage. This is an example, again, another example of how our combat is more action-oriented and really rewards people paying attention to what is going on within the game. Have we been able to banish anything yet? See if you can banish them, like knock that thrall back.
Oh, okay. Oh, what did I pick up? Hang on, I picked something up.
So that at this point, the undead are now streaming off of the Ash Horizon and attacking the shore. If they go ahead, again, an example of how our dynamic events, cascade out. If they are successfully able to take over this camp, you will not be able to directly attack the Ash Horizon with these weapons, and you'll need to retake the camp in order to move into the next part of the event chain. So, why don't you go ahead and heal yourself?
I did it already.
Uh-oh. Unfortunately, you've got some folks helping you out. Well, once you're healed up, why don't we head underwater to demonstrate underwater combat? Well, yeah, go ahead and jump in. We'll talk about it once you're in. So in Guild Wars 2, there are large parts of content that are underwater. But one of the things that we found from other games is that they make exploring underwater kind of onerous because they put the breath bar in there, and you're always preoccupied, like, am I going to die by drowning? So in Guild Wars 2, every player let's go ahead and every player gets a breathing apparatus. So you do not have to worry about drowning underwater. Underwater is just a fun way to explore the world. Now, one of the cool things about underwater is, first of all, a lot of our underwater activity has dynamic events within the water itself. In combat, we wanted to make sure that you have a completely new set of skills. So when you go underwater, you actually swap out. Actually, for a second, I'll just talk about we've successfully sunk the Ash Horizon. So this is an example of the dynamic event. The Ash Horizon is now sinking into the bottom of the body of water. So as I was saying before, your skill set actually changes. We actually swap out your weapons. So instead of your land-based weapons, in the case of this profession, you will get a trident and a harpoon. Let's go ahead and demonstrate Weight of Justice. Weight of Justice is a special skill that actually you can only use underwater. It'll grab an opponent and drag them deeper in the water, and you can continue damaging them as they go. Are we on harpoon or trident?
Right now I'm on that trident.
Okay, let's switch to harpoon. And another fun, obviously, getting opponents closer to you or crossing the distance in water is important. So one of the harpoon abilities that we have is Wrathful Grasp. That actually sends the harpoon out and pulls your opponent in. It's also important to note that underwater, dodging is still fully available. You can go ahead and dodge to the left, right. And that's still something that you can do to avoid damage.
You want to go to the dragon?
Is he up?
I can do it.
Let's do it.
Whoa. Dragon up. Doesn't stop the dragon.
Right. Well, are they going to go ahead and pull the dragon up? All right, great. See, we can talk a little bit about Guardian, other Guardian skills while we're waiting for. Oh, there we go. So this is something that actually we set up specifically for the Gamescom demo. You wouldn't actually have this in the actual game. You have an opportunity to do a big dragon boss fight by teleporting into the area. Clearly, everybody else on the map also agreed to join the fight. So just as a little setup, we are on the coast here, and what's happening is that there are ongoing waves and attacks by undead in this area. Now the event that we are about to participate on is what we call an elite event. A lot of our other events are soloable and they scale based on the number of people who participated. Elite events are slightly different. They are meant to be done by 10, 20, 40, 100 people at a time. Great camera work. All right, so the elite event. You might get killed. So it's gone ahead over to the right and said that the elite event has started. Defeat Tequatl the Sunless. Tequatl the Sunless is this huge undead dragon. He does a number of attacks that require you to be paying attention with what's going on in the battlefield. You'll see what he just created, these bloated creepers that explode and cause massive damage if you happen to be in the area. So it's important to either get out of their way or to kill them before they reach the other players. Let's go ahead and pull back and show off some of the weapons. Now, you could try to take Tequatl the Sunless on, toe-to-toe. I wouldn't recommend it. Instead, there are a lot of weapons in the area around here that have been set up. Players can actually step into these weapons. The skill bar changes, and they have a number of high damage ways that they can hurt Tequatl. Now, these weapons as well can become under attack by the undead, so it's also important to defend the weapons, and if they do get damaged, there are engineers around here that you need to keep alive in order to repair the weapons. Yes, see that right now they're under attack. Do you want to look at Tequatl's finger? Oh, that's almost done. Let's actually head over to the Asern Mega Laser. So here's another component of this fight. The Asura Mega Laser is set up to attack Tequatl and will probably go off in the next 20 seconds. One of the important things that you need to do as part of this fight is to make sure that this Mega Laser stays defended. If you do not defend the Mega Laser, it won't be able to fire on the dragon and make him vulnerable. because he's been under attack by the Mega Laser, you can actually go in and attack Tequatl, either melee or using the weapon like Matthew has here. I don't know, he looks like he still has a lot of health.
Big numbers, big numbers.
I don't know if we're going to be able to get him down.
All right.
But before we move away from this fight, this is just an example of the kind of events that you would be able to have just exploring the world of Guild Wars 2. In a lot of other games, a boss like this, an encounter like this would only exist within an instanced area that only like a party could access. But here with Guild Wars 2, we want to bring more of those kind of interesting encounters out into the world so more people can experience them. Here's an example of a bone wall that Tequatl puts up that actually blocks the turret damage that the weapons can cause. So it's very important for the players to get those bone walls down so that the turrets can do more damage. You know what? Let's go ahead and go into PvP. So for the first time anywhere, we're kind of demonstrating our PvP component. So we know that in Guild Wars, PvP was a big part of the game and the community, and we wanted to show that we are innovating in the area of PvP as much as any other area in Guild Wars 2. So that one of the important things to understand about our PvP designers is they love FPSs. I think they think that FPS is one of the best ways to FPS have some of the best PvP game mechanics, and so something that you'll notice from other FPS PvP gameplay is that now in Guild Wars 2 we have a mode where game matches are what we call hot joinable. What that means is you do not have to form up a team before you can just jump into a PvP match. You can just talk to an NPC, look at a list of servers, and if there is an opening, you can just hop right in and start participating in the PvP. The PvP game that we have demonstrated down on the floor in the ESL area is a 5 versus 5 PvP. We have said that we can go as high as 10v10 in this kind of competitive PvP. Now, as you go into the PvP map, you'll see that there are 3 control points. We've announced publicly that we have one major gameplay type for our PvP, which is Conquest. In this particular map, it's about holding the 3 control points, Windmill, Clock Tower, and Mansion, and whichever team is able to hold them for the longest to get up to 500 points is the winner. Now, within that game type, there are a lot of different variations, and we're going to just show one possible variation that we made off the Conquest game type in this map. So each team on this map has a trebuchet. The trebuchets are not just straight auto attack. They do require a fair amount of skill to use wisely. But if used wisely, not only can you attack your PvP enemies, but you can actually destroy parts of the map. Like here, we've gone ahead and destroyed the walls on the clock tower, which is a major control point, basically making it a lot more accessible. Likewise, it isn't just the clock tower. There are pipes, structures, buildings that you can likewise destroy. And what this means is it keeps our PvP gameplay on this map very dynamic. As the game progresses, the map will open up. Things will get, and the speed and pace in which capture points get held and captured and held also increases. This is just one of the ways that we are introducing some PvP elements into our PvP. They're going to keep it fresh and dynamic for people who are interested in PvP in Guild Wars 2. The other thing that's interesting to note is that this map is not a strict XY type of map. We do have like a vertical axis to the gameplay, and we feel that that's kind of interesting because you really don't know sometimes whether your enemy is coming from above or below. And it will require a fairly good ability of jumping as well as using your profession skill to move around the map quickly. Here we're using an elementalist to get around the map, and usually he would have been able to get through those 2 trees. But these are like the little tricks. If you are really good with your PvP, you know how to get around this map quickly and get to the control points. Anything else you want to add on this, Matthew, as far as the PvP is concerned? I think we've covered the main points.
That's pretty much it. The primary mechanic for this map is the use of the trebuchet and the destructible environments. Not only can you use your own trebuchet to attack the environments, but you can also go and disrupt the enemy team by destroying their trebuchet, which actually kicks off a sort of a mini event within PvP where they have to go and recover a repair kit and take it back to their trebuchet. So it's not just about killing the other people, it's not just about capturing the points, it's about controlling the entire space and making sure that you can do what you want while keeping the other team from doing what they want.
All right. So I guess that's pretty much everything we have in demo. I thank you for coming to the Guild Wars 2 demo. I think I would like you to leave with a few thoughts. It's really that this is a massive game. We only have an hour. We barely scratched the surface. Like I said, we have the 5 playable races. We have 7 out of 8 professionals now playable at the show. We are introducing a new gameplay type, and we still have more information to reveal about our PvP. We've talked a little bit about another mode of PvP, which is our world versus world, or server versus server. We're going to be revealing more of those details in the months to come. So at this point, if you have any questions, I think we have like 7-8 minutes before we have to move on to the next demo.
In Guild Wars 1, every player had access to the same items for PvP, so that it was balanced.
Yes. That will be the same.
Are you planning to do that as well?
Yeah. So in world versus world, so in the competitive PvP that we just demonstrated, that's the same. It's basically even playing field. XP doesn't matter, gear doesn't matter. Everybody level play field. It's purely about skill and being able to own the map and control the map, and that, which I think to some people is the purest form of PvP.
The primary difference between Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2 PvP in terms of the level and the characters is that in Guild Wars 2 you will use the same character. So in Guild Wars you had a PvP character, whereas in Guild Wars 2 you'll take your character into that lobby, and when you go into that lobby it will level you up, it'll make sure that you have the PvP weapons so that everyone is at the same level, but you'll still be playing your character. So in a sense, it will keep people more closely tied to the primary characters that they really love.
So your virtual identity in Guild Wars 2 stays the same, whether you are in PvE or PvP, and we think that continuity is important. Any other questions?
I have one more.
Yes.
With the playstyle that everybody is a healer, everybody can rather play for himself. How are you planning to design bosses that you need a group, that you need other people, and that not everybody is playing the boss for himself? Like there's 50 people, but I play what I want to. So.
You mean like all out for themselves?
Yeah.
I mean, is your question is there a different type of encounter that requires a lot more organized play?
Yeah.
Yes. We're not demonstrating it here on the show floor, but we have what are called dungeons. And the dungeons are our form of organized play. In it, players are going to need to be able to know their professions. They're not going to need to be communicating frequently in order to say, hey, I'm going in, I'm going to try to hold the aggro. You guys are, or I'm doing the offensive damage. You guys are now more in a support role. And for example, we've demonstrated, I think, internally 5 elementalists going into a fight. And as you know, elementalists are one of our more versatile professions. They can attune to different elements, and that gives them a different set of skills. This means they can be real-time, dynamically changing between attunements to grab different roles within a dungeon encounter. And that's really an example of our more coordinated, organized gameplay content. Anything else? Do you have another question?
I have to look.
They're giving you yours.
Wait a minute. I'm sure I have more. I just don't have them memorized.
Okay. Sure.
Oh yeah. You a year ago you said you don't wanted to have quests in classic quests in Guild Wars, and now there are some. Why this change, and what are those quests?
Well, I mean, actually, we don't have quests. I mean, what you saw there is your personal story, and the way to look at it, to think of it, is your personal story is kind of like the spine of your character's arc. As you go along the spine, it will lead you through the world, and as you are led through the world on your personal story, which is, a lot of people, they want that direction. It's kind of like the momentum that propels you through Guild Wars. Your paths will cross with all the dynamic events. So, for example, we're not just going to throw random quests out at you. You're going to explore dynamic event content that is relevant to you at the right time because your personal story has taken you into that area. So, I don't necessarily agree with the fact that you think there are quests. Really, there's the personal story, which is like your main thrust through the world of Guild Wars 2, and then there are all these these dynamic events that kind of fill out the rest of the world, so that you understand what's going on. Again, without having to read about it, you experience it firsthand.
The primary difference is that your personal story is about narrative. And in a narrative, one thing always happens after another. There is a linear path through your project. It branches in the case of the choices that you make, but one thing always happens after another. Quests are about going and getting a ticket from someone to go do a thing and then coming back and redeeming the ticket for your prize, and that's the content that we did away with.
Yeah. We don't want you to go. You just experience the event, you get a reward, just move on. All right.
Well, last question.
Okay.
What about release date or a date for a beta?
Well,
I have to ask this.
Yes, of course you have to ask that. But what I could say is that we have publicly said that we are going into closed beta later this year, and then based on the feedback from that closed beta, that will help determine subsequent beta events and our eventual release date. But as far as are we ready to announce a release date yet? Not yet.
Just
Okay,
like
thank
the
you.
personal story, one thing after another.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for your time.